Welcome to the special call meeting of the Kendall County Board of Commissioners for June 23rd, 6 p.m. This time, if everyone would stand, and we'll have the invocation by Commissioner Brandt, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, once again, we come to you looking for guidance. Father, the wisdom that goes with guidance only can come from you. And we understand that. Be with us this evening as we make these decisions, and tough decisions as they are, Father. Just be with us as we go through this process and everything. Continue to bless us, bless the ones here in this audience, bless the ones that couldn't be with us, and continue, please, to bless and protect those that serve. For that we pray in your most glorious name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody can use their phones if they can find them, because I can't find mine now, but. Roll call, Ms. Bishop.
All commissioners are present.
All right. Do we have any, I see we have no agenda amendments. Do we get a motion on adoption of the special call meeting agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. This brings us to our first public comment section.
I do have one person registered, Miss Clara Harden. Thank you.
I'll give you about 3 minutes.
Okay. First, I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to make some comments on the 2023 proposed budget, which we see as an 8.6% increase from 2022, and have some concern about the sustainability of an increase of that size going forward. Also, one concern was that the budget was balanced using $9,726,661 from the ARPA funding, leaving a balance of $891,569. In all the proposed spending from these funds, I don't see any for mental health and affordable housing, which are leading to increase in homelessness. And of course, there was no funds for addressing the homelessness in the county, affordable child care. As an independent candidate, I'm having an opportunity to speak with our voters, and they're facing many challenges. And I agree that the salaries of our employees on the lower end of the pay scale deserves a pay raise, because it's going to be hard to attract people at that salary. But people at the higher end of the pay scale, I think those salaries should have been frozen, because there are a lot of inflationary pressure on the average household in Camden County. And people are having to make hard decisions, especially people raising children. They have to find money for daycare, food prices are increasing, the price they pay at the pump has greatly increased. We have 3% special ops and sales taxes that every household in the county pay regardless of their income. And so as we ask the people, the residents of Camden County, to tighten their belts, I think it's only fair that the county commissioners reconsider the 23 proposed budget and see if there aren't areas in the budget that we can eliminate, because some of the money from the ARPA fund, you should have found a way to return it to the taxpayers to help relieve some of the pressures that they're facing. And so my final statement as I go to my seat is there a contingency plan for balancing this budget if you're challenging on the rules and your usage of those ARPA funds, which multiple people have already spoken to? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else, Ms. Bishop?
Not registered.
Is anyone else?
Timothy Bassett. It was over a year ago, I stood in this very place asking the county commissioners to consider our suggestions that was made by the NAACP of Camden County. A letter was sent to each one of you. Not only did you not consider, but you didn't even have the decency to respond. As leaders, I know that you have to make tough decisions. I understand that, being a leader myself. And sometimes it's not always easy to go against what everybody else is going with. The ARPA funds, I want to speak directly to. These funds should be a means to help the people of this community that has suffered and has been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. I listen to people in our community. I talk about people that are still struggling to pay their bills. Talk to mothers, single parents, who still are struggling just to pay for child care. People that have been displaced because of the pandemic, that's still sleeping on couches at relatives' homes. But I'm quite sure that your minds are made up about the decision that you're going to make here tonight. When will this government listen to the will of the people? Maybe not always agree, but at least listen. Dr. King said, and I quote, "Our lives will begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." This is another famous quote. "If we remain silent, they will kill us and think they have done us a favor." I know you might say, well, there's other resources that the people of this county can go and find help. Just want you to remember this as I quote 1 Timothy 5:8. First of all, I just want you to imagine this. Imagine you having a loaf of bread at your house, and your child is hungry and starving, and you tell them to go to the neighbor's house to get something to eat when you can provide it right there at your own house. 1 Timothy 5:8 said this, "But if any provide not for his own, especially of his own house." Commissioners, Camden County should be considered your house. "He has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel." And we hope that if you don't listen to the will of the people, I has not been the only one that have stood here and asked you to consider this proposed budget of using the ARPA funds. There are other people that we have already put in place that we believe you will listen to. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else?
Good evening, gentlemen. Clint Moxley. I'm the director of Three Rivers Regional Library. I'm from Jessup. I spoke with y'all about 2 weeks ago about the Woodbine Library. I'm asking again tonight that you reconsider that during your final vote. I did want to share a few numbers with you, if I may, and then I have some sheets if any of you would like to see those numbers. I emailed them to you as well. But Woodbine has been growing as far as its patronage. Currently, we have 170 card users. That does not mean that's how many patrons we have, but that is individuals who did not already have a Pines card who came and received a Pines card at the Woodbine Public Library. Specifically, a little bit of a breakdown of those. 74 of those individuals are from Woodbine. 33 are from White Oak. 29 are from Waverly. 16 of those are from Kingsland. 8 of those are from St. Mary's. And then the rest, which are from various parts of the state who are visitors that receive their card here at Woodbine and claim this as their home library. Some of the numbers I wanted to share really quickly. So far this year, we've circulated 2,111 items, 2,111 books out of the Woodbine Public Library specifically. Some of the other things that Pines as a statewide circulation system allow is for books to be interlibrary loaned to and from libraries that are part of the Pines system. And currently, we have sent out 230 items out of Woodbine and received 583 items to Woodbine. That's books that were requested and sent here specifically by the patrons who call Woodbine their home library. Some of the other numbers, just to give you some real quick, in-house use is anytime anyone comes in and uses any of our materials like reference books, newspapers, magazines. We have collected 420 of those uses. Computer use throughout this year has been 99 uses. We have seen computer use down across our region because of COVID, but I just wanted y'all all to be aware that this library is a fully functioning facility that has patrons that rely on its existence for their library needs. So tonight, I'm just asking y'all to please reconsider funding. Speaking as the director of Three Rivers, I thank y'all very much for the support y'all give both to the Kingsland Public Library or the Camden County Public Library located in Kingsland and the library here in Woodbine. Thank y'all for letting me speak. And like I say, I have these if anybody would like a copy. I emailed them to you as well, and just ask y'all to reconsider.
Thanks, sir. Is there anyone else? It's a race.
Thank you very much, Janet Heath. I want to thank Clint Moxley for all Three Rivers does for our local library, because one of the reasons we have extra funds right now is we are not charged by Three Rivers for many of the services that they provide for us. So a great deal of funding and resources come directly through Three Rivers. Now, that may not always continue in our favor because they serve many libraries, but that has impacted our budget somewhat. Clint is serving right now as our manager instead of hiring another manager. But mostly, I wanted to let you know there was some confusion last Tuesday that perhaps we had only asked for funding for 1 year for $30,000. And I want to remind you that we presented many times coming to public comments. We presented a slide presentation, and many times we engaged with you during the development of this Woodbine Public Library that would serve all of North Camden. We approached this from 2016 as being a full-service, continually funded, continually supported library. So in our mind, we were not asking just one time for 30,000, but you have funded us now 4 cycles, and we hope you will continue that because we are really counting on you to be our funding source to maintain this library. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sarah? Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Janie Everett. I'm here representing Thackall Memorial Project. I'd like for the Board of Commissioners to please consider funding the Thackall Memorial Project, as we had asked for the last 2 years for a building or help with the building rent that we are maintaining. Actually, this history itself, it is Camden County history. And the children here in Camden County and children around the world are using us as a source and across the United States. And the funding that we're getting is from the citizens and from, different groups around the country, but we've never received any funding from the county. We have been running this nonprofit organization for 7 years, and we did have to go into extensive research because the information just was not maintained here in the Historical Society. And so we're asking for your help. This is the second year we've asked for funding, and we'd like you to reconsider us. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Excuse me. I would like to comment on that one thing. If I'm not mistaken, we paid the rent last year, wasn't it? Mr. Howard? It was a grant. We got to help them get a grant.
Yeah, applied for it.
Yeah, to cover the rent. All right. All right, at this point, is there anyone else? All right, at this point, I'd like to adjourn the special call meeting and convene the Solid Waste Authority meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have first and second. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We have the solid waste agenda in front of you. Could I get a motion on it?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. All right, this brings us to our first item. Ms. Gonzalez, that's you.
Consideration is the Solid Waste Authority Annual Budget Authorization for fiscal year 2023. And actually, I'll stop for a second. I'm going to do the presentation during the special agenda rather than the Solid Waste Authority. So I'll get with that in a second. So this agenda item is consideration of the Solid Waste Authority Annual Budget Authorization for fiscal year 23, which is for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 23 for the Solid Waste Fund and Curbside Collection Fund. Curbside Fund is $1,445,590. The Solid Waste Fund is $7,407,224 for a total Solid Waste Authority budget of $8,852,814. And the annual budgets were presented and have been advertised properly. A public hearing was held on June 16th to receive comments. And you have in your packets a resolution and budget attachments. So we're asking for budget approval.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Gonzalez on the solid waste budget? So we get a motion on it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. I skipped over the public comment section on the solid waste authority. Is there anyone desiring to address it? Seeing none, could I get a motion to adjourn the solid waste meeting and reconvene the special call meeting?
Make a motion to adjourn the Solid Waste Authority meeting and reconvene a special called meeting.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Excuse me. Now back to our agenda. Ms. Gonzalez.
Okay, for this agenda item, I do have a short presentation. So this is for the the county-wide proposed budget for fiscal year 23. And at this point, we're down at the bottom right, June 23rd being adoption of the budget. We started the process in February. We had 4 budget work sessions. It's been advertised and a public hearing. So for the general fund, the proposed budget for 23 is $39,388,429. And that is an 8.12% increase over the current fiscal year, or $2,959,574. The general fund budget, the major changes to that, as you could see, is taxes and penalties, and that is $2.5 million. And that increase is not a budgeted millage rate increase. It is using the current millage rate. And also projections on local option sales tax makes up most of that change. And on the expenditure side, the majority of the change is on salary and benefits, and that is something I would be discussing on the next slide. Nope. So in the fiscal year 23 budget for the general fund, the total increase over the current fiscal year under salary and benefits is 3.2 million. And that 3.2 million is made up of one being proposed new positions. As you could see, a couple positions went from part-time to full-time, planning and building position, and 15 positions for the sheriff's office, both the jail and sheriff. And the other part of the increase is from Plan B salaries, which have been implemented in this budget as recommended in a final report, a job classification and compensation plan for Camden County, Georgia by Condrey and Associates, which was dated May 2022. So they had made some recommendations, and that has been implemented in the budget on the recommendation of Plan B. The major changes to the budget, in addition to the salary and benefits, we've been over this list a couple times at both the public hearing and when I first presented the proposed budget. Just two changes I'll point out to you. The second item down, GIS enterprise software, we did make a change to that with the implementation, so that has been increased. And also the very last item, at the Tuesday night meeting, y'all had approved the new facilities mowing budget, which increased the general fund budget by $52,980. And this slide has to do with our ARPA funds and the final rule. I know that there's been a lot of conversation about what is, an authorized expenditure. So I was just going to take a couple of minutes. I didn't even want to paraphrase it. I really would like to just go through exactly out of the final rule what the wording is. And at the very bottom, you could see a link on the U.S. Treasury for the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, an overview of the final rule, which was dated January 2022. So I'm just going to read through this quickly. So the first item, replacing lost public sector revenue, and that could be on page 4 of the document referenced. The final rule offers a standard allowance for revenue loss of up to $10 million, allowing recipients to select between a standard amount of revenue loss or complete a full revenue loss calculation. Recipients that select the standard allowance may use that amount, in many cases their full award, for government services, which streamline reporting requirements. Recipients may use SLFRF funds to replace lost public sector revenue, using this funding to provide government services up to the amount of revenue loss due to the pandemic. Recipients may determine their revenue loss by choosing between these two options: a standard allowance of up to $10 million in aggregate, not to exceed their award amount during the program, or calculating their jurisdiction's specific revenue loss each year using Treasury's formula, which compares actual revenue to a counterfactual trend. Recipients may use funds up to the amount of revenue loss for government services. Generally, services traditionally provided by recipient governments are government services unless Treasury has stated otherwise. And the document goes on to say that determining revenue loss, recipients have two options for how to determine their amounts of revenue loss. Recipients must choose one of the two options and cannot switch between these approaches after an election is made. Recipients may elect a standard allowance of $10 million to spend on government services through the period of performance. Under this option, which is newly offered in the final rule, Treasury presumes that up to $10 million in revenue has been lost due to the public health emergency, and recipients are permitted to use that amount, not to exceed the award amount, to fund government services. The standard allowance provides an estimate of revenue loss that is based on an extensive analysis of average revenue loss across states and localities and offers a simple, convenient way to determine revenue loss, particularly for SLFRF's smallest recipients. All recipients may elect to use the standard allowance instead of calculating lost revenue using the formula below, including those with total allocations of $10 million or less. Electing the standard allowance does not increase or decrease a recipient's total allocation. And two, recipients may calculate their actual revenue loss according to the formula. And I did not put the formula up there. It was 3 pages long, so I did leave that off the slide. It goes on to say spending on government services. Recipients can use SLFRF funds on government services up to the revenue loss amount, whether that be the standard allowance amount or the amount calculated using the above approach. Government services generally include any service traditionally provided by a government, unless Treasury has stated otherwise. Here are some of the common examples, although this list is not exhaustive. Construction of schools and hospitals, road building and maintenance and other infrastructure, health services, general government administration, staff and administrative facilities, environmental remediation, and provision of police, fire, and other public safety services, including purchase of fire trucks and police vehicles. And for all recipients, no contributions can be used to a pension fund for the purpose of reducing an accrued unfunded liability, no payments for debt service and replenishments of rainy day funds, and no satisfaction of settlements and judgments. And no users can violate the American Rescue Plan Act. So I just wanted to review that for everyone. And finally, this is just a list of our county-wide budget, which totals $80,397,331. And the largest variances you can see on the general fund, also the American Rescue Plan Act, and a CDBG mitigation grant. Those are the largest variables there. So this agenda item is presented for your approval or other.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Gonzalez? Gotta get a motion on this item, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
Thank you.
All right, this next item is approval for our professional services for Dr. Amir Wind at the Camden County Fire Rescue. You've all had opportunity to look at it. Does anyone have any questions on this item? Gonna get a motion on it.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a first and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? 4 in and 1 out. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 3. We've got the approval to purchase 2 E1 1,500 gallon per minute rescue pumpers for 2024 4-door Freightliner M2 106 cabin chassis with Cummins engines, diesel, and 1,000 gallon booster tanks. That is a $832,000 item. Does anyone have any questions on that? All right, got to get a motion on that item.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries. I might add, on the previous approval of the contract for the public safety, it's an agreement that we have to have one in place for $1,000 a month. With that being said, Do we have any reports? All right. And this time, do we have anyone with public comment? Anyone registered?
No, sir.
Is anyone? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to adjourn special call meeting and convene executive session.
Make a motion to adjourn the special called meeting and convene an executive session.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We'll be back. Could I get a motion to,
Motion to reconvene, regular special called meeting.
Second.
have a first and second? All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Do we have any action items that need to be taken as a result of the executive session?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to, approve the contract for purchase of software for the Camden County Sheriff's Office.
Second. We have a first and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to the end. But I get a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for your participation.